Hello once again, friends. This is David J. Welcome to another edition of Intelligetics, where we discuss all things interesting about the data sciences that contribute to business wisdom and ethical understanding. Intelligetics is the ethical study of big data for small enterprises and individuals. Attribution for citations and quotations is available separately. In this edition, I am going to answer for you why I call this series of data analytics editions the Intelligetics Law School. Intelligetics is the proprietary brand name for my enterprise dedicated to the ethical studies of big data for small enterprises and individuals. But what is a law, after all? If we are learning about laws, we ought to understand what it is we are searching for as data analysts and data scientists. Often rules, principles, conventions, habits are confused for laws, which they are not. Those are statements about uniformities in human behavior, and they have subtle differences that we ought to acknowledge during our inductive reasoning. Without discerning the laws operating in nature and social systems, there would be no science, only chaos, unpredictability, and randomness. Laws do operate in applied mathematics, combinatorics, the law of supply and demand, and the neuroscience of collective human judgments that we observe in business and economic systems, all for the sake of example. Laws operate universally, everywhere, all the time, regardless of location or culture or business conventions or legislated laws. We just have to discover them. In The General Science of Nature by V.E. Smith, Dr. Smith stated that science is certain knowledge of any given subject. Certainty signifies that it cannot be other than it is, and that it has a proof. Legalities are arrived at by consent of the governed, and social laws are arrived at by convention, while physical laws are constrained by nature. The aim of science is the discovery and use of laws. Business and social and behavioral sciences are complicated by the intersection of all the sciences as well as adjudicated legalities. That's why business and economics are so complicated and difficult to predict. These are what we search, resting on the foundations of logic, mathematics, and the general science of nature, which precede the natural sciences and the social and behavioral sciences. We search for the laws operating in market dynamics, financial systems, telecommunication systems, mass media, industrial economics, and individual transactions. Then we discern meaning and draw conclusions as to what applies universally, and exceptions may invalidate conclusions. Laws are infrequently seen explicitly in business domains because of unpredictable human behavior or insufficient information, which make prediction and optimization very difficult and impose risks when forming decisions on the basis of such information. However, such laws as the law of supply and demand in economics, Gresham's law, the law of large numbers, and the law of diminishing marginal utility are all examples of laws that great scientific minds discovered in economic systems. Adolf Berle documented the 5 laws of power in his great treatise on the subject that impose underlying causalities in most of the information we see. Do laws govern business, economics, social sciences, and behavioral sciences as they do the physical and life sciences, such as physics, chemistry, and biochemistry? Yes, they do, in a much more complex collective manner, in addition to legalities and regulations, social conventions, but they are not always apparent when we examine data. However, that is our task at hand. QED, quod erat disputandum, quod erat demonstrandum. We ought to be careful not to reject that does not immediately reveal self-evident underlying operable laws. We can study their irregularities in nonlinear dynamics, chaos theory, and the composite of diverse simultaneous functions. Note, for instance, the cardiogram of a heartbeat. Note the business cycles and disruptions that appear in large economic systems and commodity consumption. All of these phenomena demonstrate regularities and patterns that indicate that laws may be operable and are available for us to explore and discover. In the future, I am going to show some practical examples of how an inductive approach has led to discovery of authentic laws in the data study. In closing, that will lead us to another edition of Intelligetics Law School that would reinforce the foundations of science that help us draw reliable conclusions about truth. So, until the next time, enjoy abundant results in all you do, and all the best of all to you in all you do. This is David J. signing off.